name is Mihály Nyeste. I am working at SAP Hungary, SAP Labs Hungary, and I will speak about how to adopt the DevOps movement, how we do it, and what are the possibilities at a big company. We are developing a product called SAP Mobile Platform. It consists of several pieces. There are server-side items, and there is an SDK which enables developers to develop mobile applications quickly and effectively. And I am working in a team developing this SDK. We have at least 50 developers, 15 quality engineers, and we spread over several locations. The biggest location is Budapest. We are doing this development quite go, and there was always a demand for test environments. And to reach the current state, we had to go over several stages, and the first one is that actually we reused abandoned PCs to run the server-side components of the mobile platform we are developing. For example, if a colleague left the company, we were hiding his or her computer under the desk and to prevent it collected by the IT guys. And actually, we were better because those were only test environments, and I have seen a company where the production servers was at the corner of the office. So those were our test environments. And when the IT guys came and took back those machines, we had to seek for another solution. It was a virtualization host machine in the local server room, and we were happy that because we were able to test our mobile applications until a defective RAID controller. And we decided to move to a data center in Waldorf and use an offering from a team, and that was more scalable, more flexible. However, we didn't have much control over the images we had, so that was not the final solution. And at the end, we arrived at the cloud, and we can provision the environments quickly and effectively because we have an internal offering. It's called Monsoon. It is, let's say, a classical infrastructure as a service offering. It is quite comparable to Amazon Elastic Cloud. We can provision images, we can have IP addresses, whatever we want. And there is another important part. There is an infrastructure as code service out of the box. Basically, we use Chef Solo, and we can write our infrastructure as a code. And that was an apropos to start the adoption of DevOps and start building a bridge between the developers and the infrastructure. How far we can go with that? It is depending on many things. At a startup, there are 5 developers and you are developing a single product. A team can work on development and operation because the knowledge is quite concentrated, the technical knowledge is not so diverse, and everyone feels responsibility for that product. It is a bit different when you are working for a big company. There are separated responsibilities, and the diversity is much more bigger. There are several components. You have to speak several languages, I mean programming languages, and for example, a team consists of 50 people, it is quite difficult to everyone to do everything. So the spectrum can, to me, the spectrum starts at better collaboration between the developers and the operation, and ends at full do-it-yourself when you are responsible for your product from development to operation. And we do somewhere in between the middle, but we have an unusual setup. In a classical DevOps model, you develop your product and operate it. For example, a server-side component or the web page shown by the previous presenter, you develop it and put it to production and operate it. We are developing a software development kit. Our piece of codes are running on mobile devices. You are not operating mobile devices. We don't operate our own product, but in order to do the development and testing, we have to operate the surrounding landscape, the server-side components. And infrastructure is mission critical. If something stops, the development and testing stops. And the not so stable test environments makes, for example, the automated tests are not so trustable. It is quite annoying to chase for a problem if an automated test fails, if that is an infrastructure problem or a problem in code. The team is quite big. We are growing and we have to integrate our SDK into several services. We have to serve the test environment demands quite quickly. It is not an option to wait 1 month to have a system set up, because the development could not proceed without that. We have, during an intense development phase, we have at least weekly releases from the components we are integrating to. That's why came the idea, why not implement the continuous delivery patterns in test environment management in our team. For example, blue-green deployment. Do you know what is blue-green deployment? Who knows? Okay, so who don't know, it is basically you keep 2 very same environments, you deploy, for example, a new version into one and switch to it, and if something goes wrong, you can switch back, and vice versa. We adopt the canary releases pattern. If there is something new coming, I deploy a server and just release to a small group of developers to try it, and if it is working, we release it to the wider audience. There is no free lunch. In order to be able to deal with continuous changes, you have to invest. You have to invest as an individual because you have to learn new languages, you have to read a lot, you have to spend time debugging your infrastructure code, and it really takes time. And it requires investment from the team, because you are spending your time not with development, but with infrastructure related things. And there is a time factor as well. The short-term investment is if you implement, if you do something manually, and you can do it by a script, but it takes 5 times more to do the script, do it. This is a short-time investment. And the long term is the continuous learning. When infrastructure meet the developers, there is a natural impedance. Like in an alternating current circuit, there are elements which are blocking the current. As a developer, you have to learn, it is almost sure that you have to learn new languages. For example, we are using Shape, you have to learn Ruby. into some extent. You have to learn shell, you have to learn PowerShell. Those configuration management tools trying to hide the underlying platforms, but if you go beyond complexity, you have to understand the underlying platforms. Those configuration management tools usually have a declarative DSL. Developers usually likes to write imperative code. I tell what I want to execute. In the configuration management system, you say what should be the end result. And in my experience, this is quite hard to understand. And usually, there's always a time factor. You have to decide, if you have to decide that I put a new feature into my software or I write a script which is making the deployment easier, maybe the first wins always. So we have to defeat those kind of factors. What are the enablers for us? If you have a great tool chain, it is appealing. I remember I was quite amazed when I created my first virtual machine on my desktop computer. Maybe it was a VMware image, and it was the beginning of 2000s. And I was amazed that, oh, I can create a new machine by pushing a button. And the infrastructure as a platform brings this experience every day. I push a button and I have a new machine. I can experiment, I can mess it up if I want, and I can drop it if I want. Everyone should have access into some extent to the environments. For example, if you want to read the server-side logs, what would be the best approach? Just send an email or file a ticket to the operations, please send me the log files, or just open an SSH connection and watch the log as the thing's happening with tail or whatever. I think the latter is the best approach, and the developers should have access at least to the test systems and should be able to monitor those servers as the things happens. Sometimes it is easy to mess up things, but I tell you an example how the configuration management system can help. I gave a server to a colleague to do some tasks on it, and he edited the sudo rs5 maybe with nano. And as it happens, he made a mistake, and there was a syntax error in that file, and we cannot SSH as root to those machines, but as normal users, and we can sudo, so we were doomed. And there comes, what comes to rescue the configuration management tool. I write a shared recipe, a quite simple one, and which is restored the sudo rs5, and we could sudo. And this is true for complex tasks as well. If you have your infrastructure as code, you can restore anything within minutes. Only the installation time what matters. And that infrastructure as code service have a quite good offering. It's called Sandbox. It is like the free tier in Amazon, but it lasts forever till you work for SAP. You can provision a limited amount of computing power by pushing a button, and you can try things. There is another important factor. I borrowed this term from chemistry, from physics. It's called activation energy. It means that you have to put a significant amount of energy to start the chemical reaction. It is not enough if people are sitting in their place, are writing some scripts and doing diverse solutions. You have to put those people together and do impulses to push through significant changes. And the question is when to go the extra mile. Is it enough once, or you should do every day? I think everyone who is writing a script instead of a wiki page is a hero, at least in my eyes, because I hate writing wiki pages. I like writing scripts. Wiki pages became outdated quite soon, but the scripts lie with you forever. So we have to go the extra mile every day, and we decided we are a big organization. At least my team consists of 60-70 people, but the surrounding organization is much more bigger. We had to fit this DevOps movement into that environment. We decided to make a separate team, and we called it DevOps team. We have few volunteers. We are actually 6, some developers, some QA engineers, and we are taking the responsibility of operating and supporting the test environments, test and development environments for my team. We implemented an issue tracking system, because before that everyone was coming to our desks and asking why this system is not working, how to obtain some data for my test, whatever. And we decided to organize it more better. We operating a small issue tracking system, we increased the visibility. With that, everyone can check that issue tracker if there is an ongoing activity regarding the infrastructure. We document solutions there, so we spread the knowledge around the team members, whatever. And we do some project work. It is a shot of cabinet war rooms in London, and we do the same into some extent. Every week we separate some hours and we sit together. We isolate the team with that from the surrounding environment. We can concentrate on important tasks. We dedicate the time what is required to achieve the activation of the chemical reaction. We try to do tasks together, do some knowledge transfer, plan the next activities, showcase what we did, and discuss. I believe the human factor is the most important thing. If you don't speak what you can do, if you don't show what can be done to others, they won't know. And we purposefully transfer the knowledge day by day, every time, because we don't want to create bottlenecks. I don't want to be the guy, the only guy who can restart that server or config that piece of infrastructure. And it is not so easy to fit this at a big company, because we have strict processes, we have very described responsibilities, but we have our management onboarded, and that is quite important, and we have the allowance to do that. There is a stereotype about SAP that everyone is coding in ABAP. got questions from my friends and colleagues before I joined SAP that will you code in ABAP? No. I never seen a line of ABAP code. Another stereotype, SAP systems are quite complex. Yes, that is true. To some extent. Another, we do ERP systems. That is true to some extent, but we do many more things. We are moving to the cloud, we have several cloud offerings, we have solutions for Internet of Things. So we follow the trends. We have a database called HANA, which is a cutting edge and very innovational technology. So we have everything, and we are expanding. So visit our booth in the lobby, and if you have any questions.